My name is David Daniel Ball, and these are the headlines for Thursday, the 5th of February, 2009. Senate to hold an inquiry on stimulus plan. The federal government's latest stimulus plan has hit a snag after the opposition and crossbench senators forced an inquiry into the $42 billion package. Obama clamps $500,000 cap on bailed-out executives. A stupid decision showing Obama has never worked in his life. This bad decision will mean that executives for whom it is time to go will stay. New Zealand reveals its recession-fighting plan. Scientists uncover secret behind Aussie drought. Give you a hint, it isn't global warming. Good Samaritan stabbed in the stomach. I've never seen such a nervous leader. Top Gear lad knocks Rudd. Obama campaign manager scores seven-figure book deal. Watchdog flags crackdown on Underbelly and Ramsey. Hungry killers ate girls' body parts. Fears of an all-out bikie war after Hell's Angels bombing. The last stimulus failed, now let's have another. Rudd and Swan. PM unwisely derides and revives Costello in comment from Piers Akerman. Why Turnbull's taking the right stance. Malcolm Turnbull should be applauded, not criticised, for refusing to immediately pass Kevin Rudd's $42 billion stimulus package, writes Alan Jones. Showbiz notes. The ABC reports Libya's eccentric and flamboyant leader, Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, has landed a dream job. Well, la-di-da. In other dreamy, flamboyant news, plans to turn Al Gore's warmy, campy propaganda into an opera might soon be put on ice. Who would have thought attempting to turn Al Gore's eco-friendly PowerPoint presentation into an opera might not go smoothly? Director William Friedkin has fled, the opera production scheduled to premiere in 2011. It's a tipping point, people. Job done. Former Labour Minister Gareth Evans is stepping down after running a global conflict resolution organisation for the past 9.5 years. Mr. Evans is the second former senior politician to return to Australia from Europe recently, following former Democrats leader Cheryl Kernow's decision to leave a position at the Skoll Centre for Social Entrepreneurs at Oxford University to become an associate professor at the Centre for Social Impact at the University of New South Wales. Public are told that they hate Turnbull's plan. The Canberra Press Pack had a quick count of heads there and declared the public hates Malcolm Turnbull's plan to block Kevin Rudd's $42 billion spending spree. Don't criticize. Sydney Peace Prize winner Arundhati Roy, the Indian novelist, has long demanded we back the Iraqi resistance. The Iraqi resistance is fighting on the front lines of the battle against empire, and therefore that battle is our battle. Before we prescribe how a pristine Iraqi resistance must conduct their secular, feminist, democratic, non-violent battle, we should shore up our end of the resistance by forcing the US and its allied governments to withdraw from Iraq. So I guess Roy would be upset if we squeamishly refused to shore up a resistance that now failed to be quite as feminist as some might prefer. A woman accused of recruiting dozens of female suicide bombers in Iraq has told how she helped plan the rapes of victims before convincing them martyrdom was the only way to escape the shame. Bikies warn civilization is in decline. Now even bikie gangs are complaining about a decline in manners. But a source within one of the clubs says senior members are tiring of the feuding and are looking for ways to end it. The sources say there's a new breed of bikie joining the clubs, and these men don't respect the same rules and traditions as the older generation of bikies. How PM badgered Bishop. Let's check the tone of Mark Colvin's questions in his interview of Shadow Treasurer Julie Bishop on the ABC's PM yesterday, starting with the very first. Mark Colvin, fair point, isn't it, that you're going to look like blockers rather than improvers? Establishes the opposition's appearance as the topic, not the stimulus package or the coalition's alternative. Negative assumption has been made. Mark Colvin, we're not talking about $200 billion, we're talking about $42 billion right here, and your alternative is $15 billion? Aggressive attempt at a gotcha. Mark Colvin, but I repeat, having a line of credit of $200 billion is not borrowing $200 billion. Let's talk about the $42 billion. What's wrong with it? Gotcha. Now moving on. Mark Colvin, you're standing between a large section of the Australian middle class and a bucket of money. As you say, it's not going to be popular. Implied endorsement of Labour's populist politics. Again, a negative assumption is made about Liberals' popularity. Mark Colvin, how much worse would unemployment be without Rudd's package has got to be one of the questions. Devil's advocate questioning, sure, but it's shading into a defense of Rudd. Mark Colvin, the retail figures that came out today for December were up by 3.8%. The biggest jump since the GST came in, I think. Surely that's a lot of people in jobs, isn't it? Question is a statement, positive assumptions made, but in Labour's favour, where's the evidence that the jobs were saved? If that last package truly worked, the government would need this one. Which is a question as a statement. Positive assumptions have been made, but in Labour's favour. Where's the evidence that the jobs were saved? If that last package truly worked, the government wouldn't need this one. Mark Colvin, but clearly it did stimulate the economy to a degree. There was no pre-Christmas slump, and as I say, quite a lot of people kept their jobs as a result of that, didn't they? Colvin's Rudd-friendly assumption is now not some devil's advocacy, but a flat-out assertion. Mark Colvin, but also interruption. Mark Colvin, and lots of small business are going to get work from insulating people's houses, for instance, aren't they? Hostile exaggeration. Lots of small businesses? Exactly how many home insulators are there in this country then? Mark Colvin, why would you oppose the big school rebuilding package? Hostile assumption. Do the Liberals in fact oppose school rebuilding? Mark Colvin, but doesn't that bring us back to my first question, which was, isn't Bob Brown right that rather than just flat out opposing it, you should try to amend it? Appeal to authority, I mean Bob Brown, cited as a guru of compromise? Aggressive demand for answer rather than request for explanation? Mark Colvin, what stimulus would be better? Are you talking about tax cuts, and why are they better rather than for doctrinal reasons, if you like? Gratuitous and offensive suggestion that the Liberals oppose for doctrinal reasons, echoing and implicitly endorsing Labour's attack. Mark Colvin, during the Liberal decade under the Howard government, there were quite a lot of cash handouts, weren't there? Why is the policy changed? Negative stereotyping and exaggeration. Mark Colvin, but to be fair, there wasn't a global financial crisis at that time. The world was demand for fairness to Labour. Mark Colvin, finally, you may have done this for naught if the Senate, if the minor parties in the Senate let it through. You'll have taken a very unpopular stance for nothing. Negative characterization, assumption that stance is very unpopular, focus on Liberals' image, not on their policy merit or lack of. I've given you every one of Colvin's questions. Detect a pattern? So, how does this compare with the questioning of Bishop's Labour counterpart, Treasurer Wayne Swan, on the same subject? Swan has not been on PM for some time, so the closest comparison to make is with the question he got on PM's sister program, AM, on the same day.